What's up guys, Bennett's Bass here. A little different from the usual weekly upload of just doing a bass cover song or something like that. I wanted to share and document the process of building a brand new bass guitar, as that's one of my favorite parts of playing music at all. I love building my own and customizing them. As you guys could have probably tell from all my videos, all of my basses are customized, whether that be paint or I switch out the pickups or some hardware or something. None of my bass guitars are stock. And this is the first time I've ever built one from scratch, from all parts. All of my other bass guitars are getting a regular old cheap bass guitar and then modding them, upgrading the parts and whatnot. This time I've made my own of sorts in the form of this. It is a jazz bass with a PJ pickup configuration. And as you can see, I've got a sick custom paint job and this absolutely lovely unique neck. So let's start it out from the beginning with all of the parts that I used. First up, we have a Goto bridge, which is a standard 5-hole configuration. We got a regular old neck plate from another Squier guitar. We got the strap buttons. We have the headstock tuners, which are Goto lightweight tuners. I really love these, put them in a lot of basses. And I've got the signature Geezer Butler pickups to put in this, in the cream color, love that. Thanks to this eBay seller for giving me a great deal. My favorite part is this sick Fender jazz bass neck with the inlays looking like vines. It reminds me of a Steve Vai signature guitar. I love this. And then the body is just from some seller on eBay. I got a PJ cutout body with the route holes on the back, and I painted it this lovely yellow. So now that we're all set up to build the bass guitar, I'm gonna sand the finish down so it's nice and smooth, and also to give it that old distressed look called relicking. Some people hate it. I love it. I love giving my guitars that worn-in look, because if I'm modding it, it's gonna be mine. I'm not gonna sell it. I want it to be my own and be unique. I use a mix of acetone on the really high wear spots to just strip away the paint, and then I also go over it with sandpaper to give it a nice smooth worn-in look and to just smooth out the finish overall. Now that we're done with that, we're gonna install the hardware on the bass. I'm gonna start out with the bridge, although if you're building your own, you should start with the pickups because I had to take this back off to put the grounding wire in, so don't do this first. Installing the bridge is pretty simple. Just put the 5 screws in and screw them in nice and tight. Probably should have used the drill for most of this, but it's best to hand tighten them at the ends to make sure they're nice and secure. Now let's open up the pickups, and again, you guys should do the pickups first. I've got the EMG Geezer Butler PJ pickups, and I'm just gonna follow the instructions to plug in all of the wires as they should. EMG pickups have a solderless design where you can just plug everything in, which is absolutely fantastic. Makes it super easy, and because these pickups are passive, I prefer passive overall. I don't even have to worry about putting a battery in. Once these are all set up, they're good to go. I'm plugging in the pickups and screwing those in first, so I'm done on the top of the bass, and then I can worry about it on the back with plugging everything into the knobs. So now that both of the pickups are installed and screwed in, you can go around back. With this, we've got 3 knobs, volume, volume, tone, and once again, I'm just following the instructions. It's pretty simple, just plugging them in. Something I messed up was that I plugged in one cable backwards, as you can kind of see on the middle knob there. Please make sure that all of them are plugged in the right way. This bit did stump me for a little while, plugging in the cable leads to the input jack. Just want to take a close look at the instructions, make sure you're plugging them in the right place. I feel like I've said that so many times now. This last wire is for the ground, which you'll put through the hole to go underneath the bridge on the back. Now we're going to get the knobs poked through the body so we can actually use them. We got to put this bit onto the knob before we put it in. and then a washer, and then a little nut on top. And I'm just gonna hand tighten them so they hold in place, and then I'll worry about tightening them up later. Let's get all the knobs and the input jack in there. Here we go. We can peel the top layer off of this plastic piece. Nice and satisfying. And we can lock all the wires into place. And of course, I'm gonna put little caps on top of the knobs. Mine have to tighten with an Allen wrench like this. They're not just push on. Next, we're gonna drill in the holes for the strap buttons. How I did it is I just screwed in the screw about halfway as a pilot hole, and then I screwed in the screw with the actual strap button on it. This works for me. This is how I usually do it, although it's probably best to use an actual drill bit. And then of course at the end, I hand tighten it with a regular screwdriver. And then we did the same for the second button. Hand tightening with a screwdriver at the end. Now let's switch it up and go to the neck. What I do on my bass guitars is I sand down the finish on the back of the neck to be nice and smooth like a satin finish instead of that glossiness. That way it doesn't get sticky. And of course, we wipe down all of that dust off at the end. And although it looks shiny, it's just because it's wet. It has a nice satin finish, very comfortable to play. I love the look of a freshly sanded neck. Next, we're gonna put these, I believe they're called ferrules, into the headstock, in which I don't have the proper tools, so I used the butt of a screwdriver and just pushed all my weight onto it to get them in the hole. Now we can put the headstock tuners in there. I've got these Godot lightweight tuners. They're absolutely fantastic. Highly recommend them if you're modding your own bass. Pretty simple. You just put the tuner in as it is, screw in the little nut, and then we have these little screws. You just put one screw into the obvious hole. I used just a drill and screwed it right in. Simple as that. And now that both pieces are ready, we can stick them together. I've got my crusty and scratched up Squier neck plate. Could have gotten a new one, but I feel like that defeats the purpose. This bass is supposed to look like it's nice and old. So now I'm drilling in the neck screws in a crisscross pattern. An X is just how I like to do it. And again, I'm drilling them in most of the way with the drill to make it faster and then finishing them off with a hand tighten. I like to do it like that just so I'm sure to not strip the screw or over tighten it or anything with the drill. And here I am picking it up, looking very excited now that it's fully assembled for the first time. Shaking it around, seeing that that neck is really attached. And now we get to string it up. The eBay seller that I bought the pickups from graciously included a couple of sets of Super Slinkies. Those are my favorite bass strings. So we're gonna string up this bass with some brand new strings. The best way to cut your strings, I find, the easiest way at least, is to measure up 2 holes and then cut your strings there. That way you have a little extra slack to wrap around the tuner, but it's not too much that it'll overlap or anything. And we're just gonna repeat that for the next 3 tuners and the next 3 strings. And the last thing that I will install is a little string tree. Didn't mention that earlier, but I'm gonna put that on top of the higher 3 strings to hold them down so we got good tension. And that's gonna be it. I'll now demo the bass guitar, how it sounds in all of the different configurations with some text on the bottom right of the screen there. So that's it for this video, building this brand new EMG PJ bass guitar. I absolutely love it. Leave a comment letting me know what you think. I love reading you guys' comments. It's the best part about making YouTube videos, for real. I'll see you in the next one. Adios.